Hello and good morning, everyone, to India's Mac Admin Virtual Meetup for November 2023. I'm very happy to see that month on month, each and every one of you joins back to our virtual events. Not only you join back to the event, but you also see the recordings which are always placed on the YouTube channel. This not only helps you, but it also boosts my morale because when you guys join, I am motivated and I am forced to bring new topic every month with you. And as always, we have action pack agenda. I'm going to talk about introduction about myself because maybe not everyone knows about me. So that would be an introduction about me. We will talk about Apple updates, what's new in Apple updates, what's new in Jamf update. Then we will talk about the main topic, which is Superman. And I said Superman returns here because this year in the month of February 2023, I did one video on Superman. But after that video until today, there are many enhancements which are made by Kevin White, who is the originator of this solution and of this script. And also, he has released version 4 of Superman, which officially support macOS Sonoma. And the bonus content over here is how can we efficiently manage migration from version 3 of Superman to version 4. There would be many Mac admins out here who already have implemented Superman, but that is version 3. And you cannot simply migrate from version 3 to version 4 because many things has changed. And we are going to discuss those changes, and we are also going to see how can you easily migrate from version 3 to version 4. So before I go towards my introduction, I have to make a very important announcement today. Okay. So what is the announcement? The announcement is we are changing our name. Yes, we are changing our name from India's Mac admin because of certain reasons, certain factors, to India's Apple admin. Now there would be a question, why India Apple admin and why not India Mac admin? So basically, if you ask me, how I see it is, it broadens the scope beyond just Mac devices. I don't want to limit the knowledge sharing to Mac admins, Mac devices. I want to broaden the scope. Okay, which will further include iOS devices, iPad OS devices. In today's digital world, every Apple admin is not just focused on Mac device. They also manage iPhones, they also manage iPads and Apple ecosystem. So why not change our name and broaden our scope? This change will also help a wider audience of administrator IT professional like you and me who works on various Apple devices. It also reflects the nature of Apple product line and how we as a community are evolving towards Apple roadmap. Okay, we are also bringing integration with different devices of enterprise settings. So overall, why India Apple admins? It is a forward thinking decision to enhance our scope from just Mac to various Apple devices. And I believe each one of you out there would be aligned with me that yes, let's broaden the scope. Let's bring more into it so that I can share more, you can share more, and we can together learn and skill up. Introduction for the people who are joining for the first time. So my name is Salim Okani, and I am very well known in the community with Samstar 777 ID. This is my ID on Champ Nation. This is my ID on Slack. Okay, there is a QR code on top left section that is a direct link to my LinkedIn page. Feel free to scan the code. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach me anywhere on LinkedIn, on Slack, in my Telegram channel, and I am here to help. So I have overall 15 years of experience both in Mac and Windows platform. I am Jamf 200, 300, 370, and 400 certified. I love to help people And that's where I created this community, India Mac Admin. Obviously, after today, when I publish the video, this name will change to India Apple Admin. Apple updates. As of today, to best of my knowledge, Apple has released iOS and iPadOS 17.1.1 and macOS 14.1.1. There is a URL in this page, and there is also a QR code here. Okay, this QR code will take you to the website where Apple updates all the software update information with release number like macOS 14.1.1 and also release date. This website is a right tracking point for us when a software update was released. And if you want to go into details what this software update contains, there is also a hyperlink. When you click, it gives you more details. You can scan the code and go to the website, take a screenshot, take a photo, keep it handy, or go to my YouTube recording, you can find it. Jamf update. Till yesterday, my slide on this page had 11.0.0. But on 17th of November, Jamf has released version 11.1, which bring good amount of new features. There are certain features for which I was waiting since last 3 years, and many more guys like me, even many people out there in the group today, right? Again, I have added a QR code on this page just because I got a feedback that they see the URL, but it is difficult for them to type those URL or keep it handy. And hence, whenever I have certain URL in place, I always keep a QR code so that you can scan the QR code and you can go to this Jamf Pro documentation. Okay, and when you go to this documentation, you can read about the latest binary, the latest release from Jamf. You can read about release notes, and you can read about the known issues in this. Let's talk about new features in Jamf Pro 11.1. Obviously, with Jamf Pro 11, we have a new interface which has a very good look and feel. Jamf Remote Assist is now available with Jamf Pro 11.1. We are going to discuss this in upcoming slides. macOS onboarding is also a great feature which is added now with 11.1, where if you don't want to create a complex user interface for enrollment and just want to leverage Jamf self-service for onboarding, it is just click away for you to do it, and we are going to see that today. And a very good enhancement in App Installer with a summary view, which distinguish Jamf App Catalog with Apple App Store app. Okay, so these are the key features in 11.1. So let's see it one by one. So Jamf Pro interface, look and feel has changed. The fonts are bigger. Okay, the dashboard has setup tasks. Setup tasks are the bare minimum tasks which you guys need to configure to make sure your instant is working efficiently. Today before Jamf Pro 11, there was always a question and a thought that had I configure all the bare minimum stuff in Jamf Pro, and the answer was not out there. The answer is setup task. Make sure all your setup task is complete. Obviously, it depends from organization to organization whether they need that feature or not. But if you do this bare minimum, you will capture deployment, scoping, and reporting aspect of it. Apart from this, there was a very big change which came with version 11, specifically 11.1. Since since 13th of November 2023, Jamf Pro has brought in a new change in Jamf Pro certification. And that change is anyone who is now preparing for Jamf Pro certification exam like Jamf 200, Jamf 300, 370 or 400, and when he or she clears the exam, this certificate will now come with an expiry. By default, anyone who is clearing the exam now will have 3 years validity, and after 3 years that certificate will be void. those guys are lucky one like me who did the examination before and they do not have expiry to their certificate. But any new guys doing certificate will have an expiry to it. Let's talk about the new features which came with 11.1, Jamf Remote Assist. It's an awesome feature for remote help. Works seamlessly. It has seamless control. It has ability to control the settings like terminal and remote directly from the user interface, and it supports multiple screens. So if an end user has two monitors, you can see both the monitors and you can switch between monitors. Okay, it is very good. But when you upgrade your instance from Jamf Pro 11 or 10.50 to 11.1, by default these settings are not enabled. You need to enable these settings, and for which I have captured a small video for you. Let me play the video. To enable Jamf Pro remote assist settings, you have to be on Jamf Pro version 11.1. Okay. And then once you are on 11.1, you need to go to settings. You need to go to computer management, and then you need to go to security. Under security, we have a new PPPC settings for Jamf Remote Assist. I'm clicking on edit button now. When you click on edit, you have something called Jamf Remote Assist over there, and you need to check this box. When you check this box and save this, what it does is basically it is going to send PPPC profile to all your managed Mac devices so that it has all the required controls with this remote management tool. And that's it. Once the profiles are installed on your device, you can simply search for the device which a device of a user which has issues. Click on the device, go to management tab of that device, and you will see a remote session video. And then initiate the remote session. An end user will see a prompt for to allow or deny, and user will allow and you will have the control. Jamf Remote Assist supports attended and unattended mode. What is unattended mode? Imagine you have a lab environment, a Mac Mini which is in lab environment, and there is no user. And if you want to do a remote session there, you need an unattended mode. So you can configure those settings as well. More to those settings coming in my next month's video. But yeah, it's a great tool, works efficiently. Test it out. Very helpful. macOS onboarding. This is a new feature which has came up with 11.1. In this, let me allow people joining in. Okay. In this, you can configure and deploy content for computers. So imagine there is a new Mac which is enrolled in your environment, and once enrollment complete trigger happens, self-service will automatically launch, and any application or configuration or settings which you want to deploy on those devices, you can configure those settings in macOS onboarding. You can sequence them so that it goes in the right sequence, and that's how newly enrolled devices will get all these settings and application. But this also happens with existing devices. So when you enable these settings, this will not only happen on new device, but it will also happen all your existing devices. And this application configuration will be installed automatically through self-service. So how does it works? How can we configure macOS onboarding? Let's see it with a video. So I'm going to, oops, sorry for that. I did a wrong click. So I'm going to settings. Under setting, you need to go to global. Under global, you need to go to user initiated enrollment. And under this setting, you have something called macOS, and under macOS we have launch self-service option. So when you enable this setting, what happens is this ensures that as soon as self-service is installed, it will launch. So we need to enable this setting and you need to save this setting. So this is the first step. After you select this setting, you save this setting, there is one more setting which we need to do to configure macOS onboarding, and for that we need to go to self-service settings. And we now have a new payload called macOS onboarding. Go to macOS onboarding. In this, you see that we have source for policies. That means any policies which you want to deploy during this session, you can select those policies. We have configuration profiles. We can use configuration profile deployments. And we have application. Applications are Jamf catalog application. Applications are Mac App Store applications. So you can add them. So let's see how it works. So we need to edit these settings. Okay, and we need to add these things to add the onboarding functionality. So I'll go to policy. I'm selecting a random policy called authenticated restart from policies. From configuration, I am selecting a finder desktop preferences, and this is just for demo. And in application, these are App Store apps or Jam Catalog app installers. I am selecting Message Viewer Pro. Okay. And when you select and go back to overview, what you see is we have number of items in this setting. We have one policy, one configuration profile, and one application. And when you see down below the order, the first order is automated restart. Does that sound good? No. Configuration profile should go first, application should go second, and restart should be last. So how can we change the sequence? It's very simple, just drag it down and it is ready. Enable the macOS onboarding, which is very important. There is a in the top right corner, there is a button. So please enable it and save it. And macOS onboarding is ready for you. Configure in your environment, test it out, reach me on Slack, LinkedIn, Instagram channel, and we can discuss more if you face challenges. Whew. App installer summary view. There was a user request or a feature request where people were asking a distinguished view or distributed view between Jamf app catalog and Apple Mac App Store. And those are these changes which is brought in by Jamf in 11.1. We have a distributed view between Jamf app catalog and also Apple App Store application. And we also have a feature called one click reinstall all failed deployments. So if you have deployed in application from Jamf app catalog, and if you see failures there, we now have one button to reinstall them. How does it work? Let's see in a video. So again, if you see, I'm going in computers. In computers, we have something called Mac apps. And now if you see on the top section, we have Jamf app catalog and we have App Store. So it is distributed now. So this is Jamf app catalog and this is App Store. Not only that, you can see that I have enabled Google Chrome in Jamf app catalog and I have a very good deployment status. Green indicates success, a gray indicates in progress, and a red integrates or indicates a failure. Let me admit people who are waiting. Okay. So we see there are 6 devices successful, 7 in progress, 1 failed. It also shows us which version is being deployed, what is the scope and category. Oh, this is the button where you can click and it can redeploy to all those devices which are failed. So today we have one device in red mark. I will show you how that button works or functions. And then we also have a gearbox to change the user interface. If you don't need version information or target group information, you can check uncheck those. And lastly, let's try to redeploy the Google Chrome application to failed devices by clicking that button. It will ask you to acknowledge to the terms and condition and click on continue. And now if you see, we have devices in green, which is success, and devices in gray, which is in progress. So the failed one is again went into redeployment states. Good enhancement, good to use. Try it out yourself. With that, let's go to the main topic, Superman. Superman returns with version 4. As I told you guys that I already had one video on Superman topic, which was on February 2023, where I have discussed what is Superman, what are the feature, how to implement, and all those stuff. I'm doing it today again because from that session till today, there are many enhancements made by this guy, Kevin M. White. And all the information which I'm sharing through this channel are the information created by Kevin. It is a solution written by Kevin M. White, and I'm just a facilitator helping you guys to know it more and enhancing it and simplifying it for you. How can you implement the same, right? And plus, one important thing, Superman version 4 officially support macOS Sonoma. So version 3 supports still macOS Ventura, but if you are going towards Sonoma, then you need to migrate from version 3 to version 4. So I'll call out Kevin M. Mike. Thank you for all the great work you do. And let's talk about Superman. What are we going to cover? We are going to cover the workflow of Superman, features of Superman, what all feature we have. We are going to cover requirements. What are the requirements Superman needs to work efficiently? We are going to cover options. What all options we have good amount of options with respect to dial-up user interface, deferments, deadlines, enforcement, prompts, lot more, and we are going to cover all those things today. Configuration, how to configure this. I have capture live videos for you guys how I am configuring this in Jamf Pro. And deployments, how can we deploy it, right? And in the bonus content, I'm going to show you live Superman in action, how Superman works for a Mac admin, not for an end user, from a Mac admin point of view. Let's keep it very simple. How does Superman works? you know the default Superman workflow is it will check for updates, and if it doesn't find any updates in your endpoint and Mac device, the script will exit. It will not do anything. Superman script will always install first those updates which do not require a restart. If there is an update which do not require a restart, Superman will silently download, prepare, and install it without informing end user, because there is no restart required. For those software updates or security updates where a restart requires, Superman downloads the software updates. Superman prepares the software updates, and download and preparation is silently done. And then Superman detects that okay, there is a restart required, and Superman will prompt user that there is an update which requires a restart. User has an ability to defer it. They can defer when they are busy, and we have an ability to configure a deadline. At deadline, Super will enforce software update and restart the machine. And again, we have configuration. If you don't want to restart the machine, you can skip it. You will not restart by configuration such as soft count, where it will just tell user to restart. And there is something called hard count which will do a force restart. Okay, let's talk about feature of Superman brings end-to-end automation for updates and upgrade. So back then when I did Superman video in February 2023, upgrade was not officially supported. But now Superman has a feature not only to update but also to upgrade Mac devices. Superman works efficiently both in Intel and Apple Silicon Macs. Superman dial-up, the notification user interface is highly customizable. You can customize it with your company's logo, with your branding, with your tags. You can do n number of things. Superman has a user authentication prompt, which is required for Apple Silicon devices. So no more dependency on Apple default prompt. We can use Superman prompts. When it comes to defer options, we can use multiple options in deferments, and that is something we will cover in upcoming slides. Superman has a very good amount of audit logs. If you do something, you will know what all is happening in backend and which I'm going to show today in my live demo session. Okay. And then Superman also supports self-service workflow where you can make Superman available in self-service and user can initiate. But this is going to be deprecated. But I'm just telling there is a feature not recommended. What are the requirements? Okay. So these are the requirement for version 3. Okay. Version 3 requires macOS 10.14 and it supports officially till macOS 13. Version 3, Apple Silicon requires credentials. Okay. Version 3 runs locally and works perfectly with Jamf Pro. Same happens with version 4. Okay. Version 3 uses IBM Notifier app for notification. Same happens with version 4. Okay. And version 3 uses erase install for the upgrade and minor update workflow. But in version 4, we are not using erase install. We will use miss CLI because we just wanted to remove the dependency on Python. There is a fallback configure that if IBM notifier is missing, it will go to Jamf helper. Okay. But important thing for all those of you guys who have configured version 3, majority of you guys who have implemented this, it is a big challenge to migrate from version 3 to version 4. Why? Because in version 4, obviously it supports Mac OS 11 and later it officially supports Mac OS Sonoma. Bare minimum requirement of IBM notifier is version 3.x and the script will take care of it. Miss CLI is used because no Python is no more required, but almost all the configuration which we are going to talk today has changed. Their name has changed, the key name has changed, and the key value has changed. So it is very difficult to migrate from version 3 to version 4. Okay. For all the new guys who have not yet implemented Superman, I will recommend straight away go to version 4, don't touch version 3. Okay. Let's talk about options. What all options we have. Okay. So these are the default options. By default, Superman script will always prefer to do a Mac OS updates, minor updates. Okay. If you don't configure anything, it will look for minor updates. It can also support rapid security response update with a string value dash dash allow dash rsr dash updates in the configurations. I'm going to show you the configuration in coming slides. So if you configure this slide, this command, it will support rapid security updates. And if you want to enforce software updates for all those non-system updates like Safari browser, we can enter these configurations. And all these configurations are already there in my configuration profile, which I will be sharing with you in my GitHub page. You can simply use it in your test environment, test it out, and then you can use the same in your production. Okay. So this is option for updates. Let's talk about option for upgrades. In upgrades as well, the first priority goes to Mac OS updates. And then Superman will check for settings in configuration profile, or you can configure the same in policy as well, whether Mac OS upgrade are allowed. So if you have a setting called dash dash allow dash upgrade, okay, that means you are saying that I am okay to upgrade from version 13 to version 14 or version 12 to version 13, right? And then you can limit it to target upgrade. Imagine your organization is not ready for macOS Sonoma today. So you can say macOS allow upgrade yes, and target upgrade is equal to 13. That means Superman will limit the upgrade to version 13. Although 14 would be available, but Superman will not enforce version 14. So target upgrade is very important settings when you enable allow upgrade. Okay. So imagine that after listening to my discussion, you went to Superman's GitHub page, you downloaded the script, you added the script in Jamf Pro and you have deployed the script. you deploy the script without any configuration settings, what you will see. If you deploy Superman without any configuration, this is the default dialog box which you will see. It will detect the latest minor update which is required for the system, okay, and it will say that you can defer it for 1 hour or you can restart. If you see, there is no deadline and there is unlimited deferrals. This is because we have not configured any deferrals in configuration profiles. So if you don't configure anything, you will see this behavior from Super. Obviously, we can change the default defer. If you see defer is for 1 hour, you can always override this defer in configuration profile by writing default defer is equal to 900 seconds, which is probably 15 minutes. It's possible. So it is highly customizable. And let's talk about how can we customize, what all options we have in deferment, and how can we configure deadlines, right? Deferment options, you know, or the very first and important option is focus mode. Imagine I am doing this event with you with my keynote I am presenting. During my presentation, I see a notification from Superman. Hey, version 14.1.1 is available, requires restart. Please restart or defer. How embarrassing it is. And it is a potential escalation which will come from your higher management towards you. So Superman has a very awesome settings, which is focus differ. So what is focus differ? You know, what if user, as I said, if a user is in presenting mode or if he has enabled do not disturb, basically it uses something called power assertions. Superman detects those power assertions, detects that something is presenting or something is using power assertion settings. And if you configure focus defer for 600 seconds, that means 15 minutes, it will silently, suppress the notification. Obviously you will not do it for 15 minutes, but if I configure focus defer, I will make sure focus defer is for 2 hours. Okay, that means if Superman wants to send a notification and it detects that people are in presenting mode, Superman will automatically suppress the notification for 2 hours. Okay, and then we have rechecks defer. uh, This setting is basically for checking for software updates once 24 hours. 86,400 seconds is equal to 24 hours. That means once every day, Superman will check for updates. And if it doesn't find update, it will quit the script. If it finds update, it will do the process, download, prepare, prompt, enforce, restart. Right? Let's talk about pop-up menu. When you see the notification like we have seen here, there is no pop-up menu, right? It just says defer 1 hour. What if user has training for entire day for 5 hours and user want a notification after 5 hours? There is no menu option here. So we can configure a menu option by menu defer, where we can give options to user 900 seconds, 3600 seconds, 86,400 seconds, and so on. This basically give them a very good menu bar, and I'll show you the menu bar screenshot in the later slides, where user can select options, if they want to see the notification after 1 hour, 3 hours, 5 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. It is highly configurable as per your requirement. So these are the deferment options. Let's talk about deadlines. What happens when a deadline reach? Obviously, when a deadline is reached, Superman will enforce a restart. Okay. But what is deadline? Deadline in Superman can be a count. Maybe you will say that an end user can defer 15 times. It can be a date. That means days. That means if Superman is released on 1st of January, I will configure 15 days. So on 15th of January, there would be a deadline, and after which the software update will be enforced. Deadline can also be a date. Date means every month on 15th of every month. For example, I will write 15 December 2023 is my deadline for the software updates. So on 15th of December 2023, the deadline will happen, and then Superman will enforce the software updates. So we can configure deadline by count, by days, and by date. Okay. And when a deadline is reached, we can still see people joining. Let me add them. And when a deadline is reached, Superman will not wait for focus mode to be disabled. We mute people. Okay. Superman will ignore the focus mode or presenting mode, and then people will see the notification irrespective they are on focus mode or they are not on focus mode, because deadline has reached, right? And we can use multiple deadline options. We can use count with date, count with days. It is possible. Okay. Let's see how we can configure this deadline. So very first deadline is count deadlines. We can say there is a focus count of 15 days where Superman will defer 15 times a notification if user is presenting. Okay. What is soft count and what is hard count? Okay. Imagine we have configured a soft count for 15 days and end user has deferred 15 times. Now soft count is 0. When a soft count is 0, that means the deadline is reached. And when the deadline is reached, Superman will enforce. But when you are using a soft count, Superman will give a notification and give a button to restart. And it will wait for end user to click on that restart button. It will not enforce the restart. But when you use the hard count, and user has deferred the count 15 times and now the hard count is 0, the next time Superman runs, Superman will enforce the restart. It will not wait for end user to click on that restart button. It will restart. On an Intel based Mac, the machine will restart immediately. On an Apple Silicon Mac, machine will prompt to enter a credential because Apple Silicon device need as end users credentials. Okay. And we can suppress this notification of asking for a password. There are possibilities which we will discuss. Okay. This is deadline by count. Let's talk about deadline by days. We can configure deadline by days like, okay, T4 focus by days, 3 days. So imagine 1st of January, there is a 0 day. So till next 3 days, if user is presenting and software, Superman wants to prompt user, please suppress the notification. Don't show them because they are presenting while Superman wants to notify. Okay. And if they are not presenting, obviously they will see the prompt. Okay. After 5 days, give them soft notification, or maybe you can say hard days, and after 7 days, it would be a hard count and it will enforce the deadline. So we have seen how we can configure deadline by count. We have now seen how we can configure deadline by days. And let's now see how we can configure deadline by date. Yes, we can configure by date like I mentioned, focus days 25th of November 2023, soft date 27th November, hard days 29th November. Okay. One important thing over here is not only you can mention a date, but you can also include hour and minutes to it. So that if you want a specific time where the software update should be enforced, you can do that. Important update: whenever you configure a deadline in Jamf Pro, uh, you cannot use soft date and hard date, soft count and hard count, soft days and hard days together. You can use focus with soft or focus with hard, but you cannot use soft and hard together. It's not possible. Okay. And when you configure these deferment options with deadline, your interface will change slightly. So let me go back to the first interface. This was the default interface where it says no deadline and unlimited deferrals. Now we have configured deferments, we have configured deadlines, and now I'll show you how it has changed. So here you can see you updated user interface with a deadline. You see the deferrals available until September 22nd, 2023. Okay, this is configured by date. So there is a deadline which is date, and also there is a hard count here where we said 5 deferrals count was available. User has deferred already once, so 4 out of 5 is remaining. And then we have a pop-up menu. And when you click on that drop-down box over there, you can easily click on drop-down box and select when you want to see the notification again. You can defer it. So there is two buttons: defer, which will defer the software update for you; restart, which will restart the system and configure the updates. You also see an icon which is default Apple software update. You can also change this icon and bring your customized company logo here. It is possible. So this is dialog with deadlines. So you have seen deadlines. Now let's see a user interface when you use a soft deadline. So here you see there is a deferment deadline by date which is already passed. So user will see this notification and it will wait for user to act. Right? If user do not act, it will not restart and it will not configure the software update for you. But in this case, if you use a hard deadline, what it will do? As soon as a hard deadline is passed, right, it will automatically initiate the restart and user will see the screen that please save your work and system will restart very soon, and system will restart. We also have additional customization. You can add your custom display icon. You can configure help button. Imagine Superman is not working efficiently or it is stuck at a certain stage. User can click on the help button and you can give contact information, contact help desk, send an email. Those kind of configuration can be added in help file, and you can also add a warning button if you require. There are again text, markup, HTML, image and video which are supported. And if you use these additional dialog customizable options, you will have yet again an enhanced version of notification. You see the logo is changed now. We have deadline, we have deadline for count. And in the center of the screen, we now have a very big body which where we can mention message, how this is important, why this is important, how and why this is important. We have pop-up menu for user to use deferment. Okay, we have defer button, we have restart button, and we have a question mark on the bottom left which will have a help file. In case of support, please contact this number. Right. So this is how you can configure deferments. We also have additional customization option. We can also enable timeouts. Imagine you have sent a soft restart notification with a restart button. User is not acting on it. What will happen? Superman will wait indefinitely. Imagine Superman has notified user to defer or restart a machine for a software update. User is not focusing on it. We can add a dial-up timeout so that after certain period of time, Superman can automatically defer the script for maybe 15 minutes, 1 hour, whatever you configure. Default dialog timeout is can be configured for a dialog configuration, which is this. In this video you see, so in this snapshot you see one more addition, which is please make selection within 9:56 seconds. So what we did is we added a default dialog timeout for 600 seconds, which is equal to 10 minutes. That means when this notification will come, and if end user is not acting on this prompt, Superman will automatically defer this prompt for 15 minutes, because we have configured in backend default timeout is 600 and default uh, deferment is 15 minutes, and those are the configuration is already available in my custom configuration, which I can share with you. There are also example configuration available on Superman GitHub page, but don't download Superman GitHub example configuration profile, because it has everything configured and it can break things. Okay, same way, when a soft date dialog is deadline is reached, you can also configure a timeout there. So imagine in this window, this screenshot, there is a deadline reach for a soft deadline. There is a restart button. User is not acting. it will always stay here. But if you configure one more settings here, which is soft dialog timeout for 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes, what will happen is it will add a timer that update will automatically start in 10 minutes. And if user now don't act within these 10 minutes, it will automatically restart the device after 10 minutes. So this is a user interface when you configure soft dial deadline with a timeout value. There are additional default timeouts, which is by default configured in Superman, irrespective whether you configure it or not, which is free stage timeout. If you are low on disk space, it prompts user that there is low disk space, please free up your space, and it is configured for 10 minutes. Battery timeout, if your battery is low, it will prompt user, and if user do not act, the script will quit in 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes. And also Apple Silicon needs an authentication, and if user do not authenticate within this 10 minutes, it will again time out, and it will error out the script. It will exit the script and defer the notification for 1 hour, which is again a default configuration, and we can change. So now we have understand options, we have understand deferments, we have understand deadlines, we have understand customization. Let's understand how enforcement works. After deadlines, how will Superman enforce the software updates? On an Intel based Mac, once the deadline is reached, Superman will immediately restart the system. But on an Apple Silicon Mac, there is a requirement of credentials. We need to pass in the credential to Super during installation of the script. Okay, let me take a step back. In Apple Silicon, we really need to enter a credentials. That means when a deadline is reached or when user click on restart button, they will see a notification where they need to enter the credentials. And this credential is for a standard user. So it can be an admin user, it can be a standard user. It's okay. We don't need an admin user for authentication, because what we need is a volume owner, right? So Apple Silicon device will prompt for password, and user has to enter the password. And if end user do not enter the password, timeout will happen and notification will defer for 1 hour by default. But there would be questions from many of you guys that I don't want user to prompt these credentials. So if you don't want to prompt these credentials for end user, you can pass in the credentials. When you are installing Superman script, you can provide local account credentials, admin account credentials, or you can also use Superman service account credentials, or maybe you can use Jamf API credentials, so that it will not prompt end user for password. That is possible. Okay. But if you don't provide any password during installation of Superscript, that time it will prompt user to enter the credentials, and we will see this screenshot and in the live demo as well. Okay. And whatever credentials you are sharing, this credential will be saved in keychain access under system keychain. Okay. So imagine you are passing the credentials like, so what you did is you went to GitHub page, you have downloaded Superman script, you have added the script in Jamf Pro, you have created the policy, and you have added the script in the policy. And I'm going to show you all this in a video. Okay. In script, we have something called parameter 4 and parameter 5. So there we can give a local account create credentials. This local account is an account already on a Mac device. Imagine you have two local accounts. One is admin account, one is standard account. So you can provide credential of a admin account or a standard account. Doesn't matter. The only thing which is required is this account has to be a volume owner. If you don't know if your devices or if your accounts are volume owner, you can go to my GitHub page and you can download an extension attribute which I have created for volume ownership. add in your Jamf Pro, and it will show you whether your account user account is volume owner or not. But by default, if you log in on a Mac which has accrued the bootstrap token, as soon as you log in, you get the volume ownership. So that's not a big deal. So you can provide a local account credentials, but it's a risk because you are sharing a local account credentials, which can access things, right? But if you don't want to provide a local account credentials, you can also use Superman workflow to create a Superman service account. For this, you need to provide an admin account credentials. And what Superman will do is Superman will create a service account and a random password. This account will only be used for update process. You cannot log in with this account in a Mac device. But during the power on menu at file vault stage, you will be able to see the service account, and user will be able to see the service account, and they will be able to uh, or they will try to log in with this account, but the login will not work. Again, this will give a bad impression, but you can use this. Good thing is this is fixed in version 4, which we are going to talk. Okay. So how can you pass in these local account information or service account information? It is very simple. When you are deploying a policy where you are deploying a script for Superman, in parameter 4 for local account, you need to mention local account is equal to whatever is the account name, and local password is equal to whatever is the password name, and deploy. And this local account can be admin account or can be standard account, no issues. If you want to use Superman service account, then in parameter 4 you need to mention admin account is equal to admin account name, admin password is equal to admin password. This account has to be admin account on that Mac device. We can also use Jamf API MDM push for this, and for that, there are requirement. Your Jamf Pro has to be version 10.35 and higher, and your Mac OS has to be 11.5 and higher. If you deploy this script on a device which is older than 11.5, I believe that would not be the case. But if yes, then this credentials will be shared, this credential will be saved in kitchen access for future use. Okay. So MDM pushes there. And when you use MDM account, again in Jamf Pro policy in script, you can use Jamf account, the API account name, Jamf password, and the API account password. There are certain requirements for the API account to work efficiently. I will recommend go to GitHub page of Super, read the wiki. What are the requirements for Jamf Pro API account? Give those permission to your API account and use it. But note, API account doesn't work efficiently. Apple is fixing this issue. They are bringing new workflows. But in any case, MDM push fails, a user auth MDM failover will come. That means if an API account fails, automatically it will prompt user to enter the credentials. Okay. So now we got to know how to configure the deferment deadlines, how to pass the local options, account options, how to validate and test. It's very simple. If you want to test Super, download the script locally on your Mac and run the script with a command test mode. Test mode. Test mode will mimic the workflow of Superman, how it works, and it will help you understand if you configure certain things, how the look and feel would be. So I will always recommend validate and test in your test environment, then bring it to production. There is a huge amount of audit logs. So always go to library management super folder and go to logs and read super logs. And there are many other logs which will really help you. So read logs, it helps you out. How does super work is super logs will always call a sub process to do certain different activity, like check for software update, download software update, prepare software update. These are all sub process, and super will always create certain different logs for sub process and read those information from those logs and update the information in super logs. So super.log is very important for troubleshooting. Now let's talk about deployment. Deployment is very easy. Download the script from Superman's GitHub page. Create a policy. Sorry, once you download the script, go to Jamf Pro, upload the script in Jamf Pro, then create a policy, add the script, obviously, configure your scope and deploy. Make sure in this policy you do not add maintenance and software inventory update. Inventory update must not be part of Superman script because it will break the software update checks. Okay. There are two things we need to configure when it comes to deployment. One is Superman script and second one is Superman configuration profile. Let's see how we can configure Superman script. And if you are doing it for the first time, this is how you will create a script for Superman version 4. And if it is, if you have already configured version 3, you can modify the existing policy and just change the script. In this scenario, I've already uploaded script in Jamf Pro. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to just create a new policy for you. So go to computers, policies, create a new policy, give it a name, software update enforcement, select a category. I am testing it out, so I will say test. Select a frequency, I will say recurring checking, and it is recommended that you run it once a week. I do once a month because it's not an issue, but you can do once a week or once a month based on your requirement. Go to script, configure the script and select Superman version 4 script. And we see parameter 4 and parameter 5 here. So if you want to pass in the credentials, this is where you need to enter parameter 4, which is the account name, and parameter 5, which is the account password, right? Do not add inventory update in this policy. Add the scope and deploy, right? As it is a test environment and I am testing it out, I am blindly deploying it to all computers. But in your production environment, please be mindful, test it out and then scope it efficiently. Done. So Superman policy is deployed. This is version 4 script. So what it will do is it will upgrade version 3 binary inside your Mac device to version 4. So the script is updated. Okay. So it will take care of existing version 3 to version 4. And if you are new to Superman, it will install version 4 binary. The script will also take care of IBM notifier application, which is a prerequisite for this. And Miss CLI. So now we have done policy deployment. Let's see how we can deploy configuration profiles. Oh, before that, if you are seeing this video on YouTube and if you are not part of my Telegram group, and if you guys who are attending are not part of my group, I give you a minute to take a screenshot, scan this QR code and join my Telegram group. Telegram application is must to be installed on your device so that it can directly go to my group. I'll give you a few seconds. The Telegram group is a place where after the event, we interact with each other. If someone is trying to implement and it's not working, as I show in demo, we jump in together to help you out. It's not only me, each and every people in the group can collaboratively help each other, right? And one big call out. If someone from the group wants to present in one of my event, feel free to talk to me in my group and anyone can present in this group, right? Let's continue. So what we did, we downloaded the Superman script from GitHub page. We uploaded the script in Jamf Pro, and we created a policy and we have deployed the script. But script without a configuration will give you the default dial-up where it says no deadlines, you know, no deadlines, unlimited deferrals. We need to configure certain deferments. We need to configure deadlines. We need to tell Champro that I am allowing major upgrade um, for Superman so that Superman can upgrade. I am allowing Superman to enforce a restart. How can we do that? That is done by a configuration profile. So let me show you a quick video. In this video, I am creating a new configuration profile. So if you are already using Superman version 3, you can use this mobile config directly. You can replace it, or I have a better way of migration. So for existing Superman user, don't do it this way. For a new guy who is using Superman for the first time, upload this script, upload this mobile config directly in your environment, test environment, and test it out. So how to do it? Go to configuration profile, click on new or upload. So I'm uploading because I'm giving you a ready-made configuration profile. Okay, click on choose. I am going towards my mobile config. This is a software update enforcement version 4 mobile config, which will be made available in my GitHub page. You can feel free to download and reuse it in your environment. Test it out before using it in production. Okay, we'll click on upload. As it is a signed mobile config, it will prompt you. So I will recommend remove the sign. So you can remove the signature so that it will help you to edit. And then you see the name is here. You need to select a category. I am testing it out. So I will say test. It is a computer level configuration profile which install automatically. But here are the settings. Here are the settings where I have configured all the configuration with deferment, with deadlines. I have also configured major upgrades. I said major upgrade. I am configuring major upgrade and the target version for the upgrade is version 14. This way it will help me upgrade from version 13, version 12 or version 11 to version 14. And that is something I will show you in demo session. I am configuring this or scoping this for all computers because it is my test environment. Please be mindful, test it out before you deploy this. And we have deployed the configuration. So now we have deployed the script, we have deployed the configuration, it's all set. Okay. One important thing to note here is when you deploy a script through a policy and when you go to policy logs, in policy log, you will see that Superman will detect that you have installed the script from Jamf Pro, and then it will quit the script and it will run the Superman from a launch daemon in the Mac. Why? Because as soon as Superman is installed, it will check for update, it will download update, it will prepare update, and it will notify update. And if you do it from Jamf Pro, the Jamf Pro binary and agent will be always busy and it cannot do anything else. And hence, Superman will quit the process from Jamf Pro and it will locally launch the process so that Superman binary agent is free and can perform other tasks. With that, you now know what are Superman features. What are the requirements of Superman? How can you customize the dialog, the interface? How can you configure deferrals? How can you configure timeouts? How can you configure deadlines? And how can you deploy the Superman? So once everything is done, now what remains is the bonus contain. We have two bonus contain for you. First bonus contain is for people who are already on version 3. How can we upgrade from 3 to 4? And then a live demo of Superman. So let's talk about bonus contain. How to migrate from version 3 to version 4. First of all, we need to understand why I am talking about migration from version 3 to version 4. Because if you are using version 3 and all configuration settings, almost all the key value pair is changed. What I'm trying to say is on this screen, if you see version 3 key name, Jamf Pro ID, default defer, focus defer, menu bar defer, recheck defer in purple color on the left hand section has changed in version 4 on the right hand section. If you go to right hand section on the purple markings, Jamf Pro ID is now changed to odd Jamf computer ID. Default defer is now changed to deferral timer default. Focus defer is now changed to deferral timer focus. Menu defer is changed to deferral timer menu. So all the key names are changed and majority of key value is changed. If you see default defer, focus defer and menu defer in the orange color section for Superman 3 on the left hand side were in seconds. But in version 4, all those settings are changed from seconds to minutes. These are big changes, right? These changes has been done for betterment of Superman, and I know this is very difficult to change and migrate from version 3 to version 4 because there are 92 changes. I may be wrong, but you need to do 92 changes to migrate from version 3 to version 4 because you need to do these changes line by line, bit by bit. And if you do one single mistake, Superman version 4 will not work. It will error out during installation. Then how will you migrate from version 3 to version 4? You can migrate because what I did is I have created a dynamic version 4 JSON file, and you can use this JSON file to easily and efficiently migrate from version 3 to version 4. How can you do that? I made it very easy for you guys, right? Let's see it. Simply go to computers, configuration profiles. I'm creating a new configuration profile. But if you have existing configuration profile, you can edit and change the custom schema. Okay. Remember, Superman version 4 supports macOS 11 and higher. And if you have any device which is on macOS 10.15 and lower, then you will have two configuration profiles and two policies for version 3 and for version 4. But I am sure no one in this group will have still have Catalina in their fleet. So it is best to migrate to version 4 because version 4 supports uh, macOS 11 and higher. So you can edit the existing configuration profile, or you can unscope existing configuration profile and create a new configuration profile the way I am showing you here. So create a new profile, give it a name, software update enforcement version 4 JSON, because it's a JSON file. Choose a category. As it is testing for me, I will choose test category. Make sure the level is computer level and it will install automatically, and then go to application and custom settings. And under application and custom setting, we need to go to external applications because Superman is an external application for Jamf Pro. Click on add, and then in the source select custom schema, and this is the custom schema which I am going to provide you in my GitHub page. Go to custom key schema and you need a preference domain. How will you get this preference domain? Most of you would be knowing it, but I made it simple. The JSON file which I am going to share with you, which is Superman version 4, there is a preference domain mentioned here, right? On the line number 4. Just copy this preference domain from here. Go to your configuration profile and paste the custom preference domain. Now click on add schema under custom schema, and then go to the JSON which I gave you. Make sure this is Superman version 4 JSON. Okay. And why this version 4 is important? Because I have configured this JSON to adhere all the new key names and key value pairs. I've also added description that now these settings requires minutes and not seconds. This is a boolean and all and whatnot. So I have efficiently managed to migrate version 3 JSON to version 4 JSON, right? So copy entire JSON file. So command A, copy, command C, go to your Jamf Pro and paste it here. Simple. And save it. As soon as you save it, you see a very good user interface where with a drop down menu or a text menu where you can just go there and add your setting value. And if you don't need, because as it is entire set of configuration, we don't want to use entire set of configuration, you can simply go to add and remove properties of this JSON file and just uncheck whatever is not required. So I'm just randomly doing uncheck whatever is not required, and then I will click on apply. So we have hard count, we have soft count, hard days, soft days. So if we are using count and we don't want to use days, remove days. We have display icon size. If you don't want, remove it. If you want to change your display icon, there is a display icon binary. Select it and give the path of the icon. Everything is configured here. Okay. So if you see default, timer default. So if you don't know what to configure, so I have mentioned that by default you can keep 60. 60 is minute and not second, because if you read this description, it says the number of minutes to defer until the next update attempt a user choose. So by default, it is 60 minutes, which is equal to 1 hour. And if you don't want to configure these settings, you can mention a capital X here. So this is how you can configure the settings. You can add the pop-up timer menu. And these are all new names for version 4. And if you want to know what changed from version 3 to version 4, I have a link I will share with you in our question and answer section. Okay. So this is how you will do it. Then you will scope and deploy the stuff. So this is how you can deploy the script. You can migrate the configuration. Then let's see the final components today. Let's see the Superman in action. And this video is showing you the Superman in action for Mac admins. These are background stuff which a Mac admin will not see, right? If you see this, I went to a terminal window and I have run a command called super, which has initiated Superman. And if you see the last line, it is looking for a software update. So what Superman does, it checks for updates. First, it will check for minor update, and then it will look for major upgrade. Okay. So now it is checking for that. And in no time, you will see that Superman will detect that a minor update. If you see the third last line, a minor update for 11.710 is detected, but it is still looking for non-system updates and major upgrade. And as I have configured to allow major upgrade version 14, it is looking for major upgrade and it has detected 14.1.1 is available, and it is starting the download process. I'm going to speed up this process. So if you see, it says 1% download, 3% download, right? These are certain things which will not be visible to end user. This is something I am showing you because what's happening in backend when you deploy Superman. You see 10%, 58%, 74%, 90%. Once the download is complete, it is verifying the download. Once the verification is complete, it is moving the installer to application folder. I'll quickly show you. In application folder, I will now have macOS Sonoma. You see that I have macOS Sonoma. Now Gatekeeper will verify for the installer. Once verified, after that, Superman will give the first prompt to end user. And this is what end user will see. End user will not see anything before this. You see, we have a title that macOS Sonoma 14.1.1 requires a restart. I have configured hard count. The end user can defer 15 times, and there is a pop-up menu or the dialog timer menu where user can go to drop down and select how much time or how many minutes they want to defer. So if you see here, I have mentioned 15 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hour, 8 hours, 12 hours. So user can defer. For this testing, I am deferring it for the 15 minutes so that I can show you that now the count is 15, and when I defer it one time, the count would be 14 out of 15. and there is a restart button, there is a defer button, and there is a help menu bar. So let me defer it. So, and I'm just trying to show you time, that is 12:21 a.m. on 24th November when I was recording this. And at 12:36, the prompt will come back after 15 minutes. So I deferred it. And now I got a prompt after 15 minutes. And if you see, it is 14 out of 15 deferral remaining now, right? And till the time the deferral count goes to zero, I will have defer option. And as soon as it reaches zero, hard count will automatically enforce software update and it will restart. Let me quickly show you what happens when a user click on restart or when a deadline is reached. So when a deadline is reached, any end user will see authentication prompt because this is an Apple Silicon device. It will say you must enter a password for this user, and user has to enter a password. There is a timeout configure for 1 hour. If user do not act within this 1 hour, the script will terminate and the notification will come again after 1 hour, right? So user has to enter the password. User can be standard account or admin account. User needs to be volume owner, right? So I'm entering my password and I will click on restart. So as soon as you click on restart, Superman will say that now it will take 15 to 25 minutes for restart to initiate. Okay. Why 15 to 25 minutes? Because in backend, Superman will do certain stuff. Let me show you. Superman is now preparing your device for major upgrade. So if you see, it has initialized uh, installation preparation, which is 9% now. And I'm just dragging it 41%, 51%. And imagine you, if you have not run the terminal, you can also go to the audit log path. You can go to library. I'll show you. You can go to library. Under library, you can go to management, you can go to super, you can go to logs, and you can open installer workflow logs. And this is the log which uh, you know always track your download or preparation percentage. And this is the sub process where Superman script will detect the percentage and populate in the main logs. So if you see, I'll drag it from 51% to 79% to 80% to 90%, 98%, and 100%. At this stage, I have stopped the recording. After this, Superman will restart the machine and it takes 5 minutes for the upgrade. And after 5 minutes, I got a macOS Sonoma version 14.1.1 on my device. So I believe I made a justice to give you a good background on Superman. Thanks, I extended my time, but I would say thanks for joining. And if you are not part of our official community on Jamf Nations, because we are official Jamf Nation, India's Apple admin community. If you are not part of it, scan the QR code and join our community. With that, thank you for joining.